Welcome to Alfredo's Size 3 Taco Truck, a Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast, where we still have interesting things to say, despite the meta feeling like a beige couch for your beige life. I'm Vincent
I'm
Curkov.
I'm Pat Van Value, and I own a beige couch.
I'm Nate Horn.
And I'm Alex Botts, and I live a beige life.
All right.
Is the meta? Is everybody mad about the meta? I know everybody says that on the internet, but everybody says that on the internet about everything. Are you mad about the meta, Vince?
I'm not. I think the meta
Are
is
you
great
beige
right now.
about the meta?
I think people are just like they feel like it feels solved, and they're just like whiny that there isn't anything to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that comes from the podcasts. Like the freaking
Like
Muse
us.
did a Judgment podcast instead of talk about Marvel because
Damn.
they're still having fun with the game, but they're just like bored of talking about it.
This is fucking killing me because, like, okay. So as trusted sources of mine like Judgment the game and enjoy it and play it willingly, but Judgment has been the game podcasts talk about when their main game is boring as shit for like 3 different games that I've played now. That happened in a War Machine podcast, a Guild Ball podcast, and now a Marvel podcast, apparently. Oh.
It's really funny because they actually kind of talk about that at the start of the Muse episode on Judgment, where they're just like, man, we know. So it's like, it's felt like Judgment's about to take off like 6 times in its history, but then
Yeah.
shit just keeps happening to it. But this time
is
it's
the real
really
shit, yeah.
taken off.
It's
And
not
like,
taking off.
I don't know, they got me looking at rules, but we're not a Judgment podcast.
Ooh, now you're
Oh.
telling me. I was almost got talked into going to a War Machine event locally. So I'm looking.
Well, I'm not playing Judgment or War Machine.
I'm definitely not playing War Machine.
All
But
right.
yeah,
it's-
so
First
I
topic,
think-
Alex Botts.
Well, hold on. I
What?
want to
Oh.
address the beige meta thing because I think that's interesting
Okay.
to talk about. I think I mostly agree with Vince. I don't think the meta is super stale. I think it is a bit more stable than it's been in a while, but I think that's kind of a good thing. I don't know. I don't understand people. Like we spent a year or whatever the shit having to deal with Malekith and the CGR, and just everybody was like, "This is awful. This is terrible. This single model's warping the whole thing." And now we're like definitively in a place where no single model or faction is warping the meta like those were, and people are mad
Yeah.
because they're bored about it. I'm just like, this is what we
What
wanted.
about Thanos?
He's fine. I don't know. Like I'll complain about webs if you want because they're the best thing in the game, but like even they are not the problem that those CGR Malekith and things were. And like
Yeah.
some of the staleness is because correctly or incorrectly, a lot of people have decided roster building is just finding the best shells for Rhino and Black Hat.
Mhm.
Oh.
They
and
sure
just
have.
playing that, and I see where they're coming from, but I really, as someone who just cut Rhino from his list for Dr. Voodoo, I don't agree that the game is about finding the best shells for those, and you can just like build synergistic and interesting. I mean, Rhino's fucking
Mhm.
baller, right? Like he's
Yeah.
one of the best things in the game, so I get it. But you don't have to play him. You can do just fine without a Rhino in your list, and there are interesting lists that don't include him.
I also think a lot of the people decrying the boredom of the meta are also people that just refuse to dig for gold. They like refuse to play stuff that's quote unquote bad or like go look for things that are off meta or
Mhm.
counter what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think, so I think a lot of people, I think Marvel suffers from this in general as it's like it came up in a very online way because of it really hitting its stride during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So like the community feels very online, at least compared to like a lot of the other games that I've played.
hmm
And so it doesn't feel like there's as much experimentation uh going on in the game, except for like obviously there's exceptions. Like there are people like pushing the boundaries and finding cool things for sure.
Yeah.
That,
Um
that's a
what's
thing I was thinking about recently that is interesting to me in the sense of like, I have definitely gotten the impression that because Marvel is such a, I don't know, TTS, like people care a lot about what happens on TTS for better or worse, right? And that it like drives a lot of people's opinions about what is strong and like who is good at the game or whatever, right? That like it feels like there is way less room for some local or regional meta to get like wrecked by a person that's good at this other thing that like just doesn't play TTS, right? That like
Mhm.
people are always sort of going to respect the thing that is popular and strong on TTS more than the thing that like their local area is getting wrecked by. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I think that sort of also drives the people that are like good within their region to play the thing that's popular on TTS. So it's this like self-reinforcing cycle of a strong thing gets more popular.
Yeah. I also think the other thing is that a lot of what can push a bad team to be good in a meta is that they like hard counter the best thing in the game. So something that's like underpowered but is very good into the most popular thing or the best thing in the game
Hmm.
Mhm.
can like warp and create a really interesting meta game going on. And I think just like there is no natural predator to Web Warriors, not faction wide at least. It's like there's
Yes.
like the
Sure.
different you can play
Yeah.
the different venoms. There's like single pieces, but that's like more like splashing tech than it is
Yeah.
there just happens to be a faction that just like hard counters everything they did. Like I don't know, like there was a faction out there whose leadership was symbiote instincts.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
like like and even if that faction was like just full of the most garbage models you've ever seen,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, like okay, well, like the characters in this faction are like Sin, Viper, Crossbones, but they freaking dunk Web Warriors though,
Yeah.
right? And so like I don't know, I guess I could play 3 of the cheapest of those and then 2 good models and see if I can beat Web Warriors.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that's part of what's going on, but also like I don't know. I'm still having a good time with the game. I don't want to come across as down on it because other people are. Like,
Yeah, and
I don't know. I'm
like
having a great time with foes and Namor and stuff.
um there's a really so people complain about like diversity in meta or whatever, right? But like the top eights of big events recently have been like 7 or 8 different factions, right? And then so then people shift the goalposts and it's like, well, most of them are playing Rhino, so it's basically the same thing. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
if you think 8 different factions all playing Rhino means we're all playing the same thing, you will never be happy with the meta of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Like just the
Yeah.
nature of how splashing works and how open the affiliations are. If that's a thing that bothers you, you will be mad about this game for the rest of your life. Like,
Yeah.
because again, people will play the most popular model even when they shouldn't because it's the most popular model.
Yeah. I also think there's like, I don't know. Sometimes I think when people complain about stuff, especially on the internet, they're actually not mad. They just they
Okay.
just want to
No.
contribute
Yeah.
to a discussion, and the way that they know how to contribute to discussion is with a complaint. And I think that's true not of Marvel specifically, just of people on the internet talking. And sometimes the internet just does that to us, man. I think people are actually happy with the game. That's my hot take, having talked to no one but you guys. Uh,
That's an insane take. Talking to
I'm
only us.
polling the
I think
people in this
they
Yeah.
room. The Met is yeah,
Hey,
everybody's
okay,
happy.
2/3 of them, the NorCal, are happy.
why you're not happy? Well, you and I have complaints about the game in general, and I mean these guys do too.
Mhm.
But those are not the same as like meta complaints. What are your complaints about the meta, Pat?
I don't know. I don't participate in that.
Yeah, see exactly.
I like show
Um,
up and I don't know, make poor choices about the thing I'm playing, and then I'm unhappy about the choices,
yeah,
which is totally the game's fault, not mine.
yeah, I
Fair.
agree with
Moving
that.
on.
Yep.
Yeah, so speaking of playing really overpowered stuff and like ruining people's lives by sticking the best model in the game into everything I play, I added 6 threat Namor with the time gem to my Brotherhood list recently, and it has been okay. Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
That's fucking wild to me, man.
It's been great. I mean, and by great, I mean it's 2-0, and I don't know if I'll play it again. So it might remain 2-0 forever, and that might be the only 2 games that it's been played by anybody. So it might be the best model in the game. I have no idea.
By
Um,
win rate, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Uh, I put this in first of all because I lost my first round in the Juicy League, and I wanted to try it out. But also because I thought that if there was a place where getting the extra value of the time gem on Namor, which is you get to charge turn one. You, no matter what your power situation is before the power phase, you always get to charge or do a spender. Um, well, okay, yeah, except for poison or stun or whatever. But um, it, I thought that the best place for that would be, well, one of the best places anyway. I haven't thought about every single place, but one of the best places for that would be Mystique, because Mystique gets a lot of value out of Namor having exactly enough power to either spender or charge, because you can pick something up and still charge in turn one, or you can spender and pick up for free, uh, or you can spender and put down the Brotherhood token, which is kind of goofy. Um,
Oh,
so
that's cool as
Oh, I
hell,
think
actually.
about that. That's cute.
wait, you guys
Cool.
did it?
Yeah,
It's
even
like
I
they don't
got
even
that.
read my Discord.
Yeah.
It's an
Um,
I always forget it's an interact, not like its
yeah,
own thing.
yeah, it's an interact. See, I know
So
rules.
I remember you
I know
mentioning
several
that.
rules of this game.
I do remember you mentioning this on the Discord, but what didn't click to me then, but did after the last game I played with Vince and his name more, is that so his wave of turtles, right, where he
Yeah.
gets to interact for anything free and then back up short. I didn't realize getting the short advance requires him to interact,
That is true. Yes.
right? And
He
so, like,
has to interact.
there was a situation in our game where there was no extract there, and it's an infinity formula, and he wanted to yo-yo with Namor, but just like couldn't, or
Yeah.
would have to like actually give up an action and leave, right? Where
Yeah.
like on a Mystique, you could, even if I'm still contesting the thing, you could interact to put your token down, it disappears, but you have technically interacted, so you get to back up.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's the part that didn't click for me in Discord that just clicked now, was that
Yeah.
it unlocks that short advance in situations where other Namors couldn't.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, as long as you don't already have it down somewhere, he can
Right.
do it and let it immediately disappear, and he still walks away. And I would not characterize this as the best model. Seriously, obviously,
Yeah,
but I do think that Mystique actually is relatively happy to pay 6 threat for it in sort of specific situations. I think that on the 6 threat, or sorry, 6, the 16 threat crises, when you get taken to 16, it's pretty sick with the core, where because you already are playing against a team that probably doesn't have a ton of punching power, at least compared to like a 20 threat list or
Mhm.
something like that. And so you play Mystique, Jugs, Toad, and Time Namor, who I call Clocks McKenzie because our Discord is full of idiots. And
Yeah, it's their fault that you started doing this.
I'm the idiots. And yeah, I don't know. I've won 2 games with it, so it's all right. And I did get one activation in hammers where Namor started with no um started with no power at the start of the turn, before power phase, obviously, and also was holding none hammers, and generated 3 power, charged, uh, got 3 power back, picked up a hammer, waves of turtles, picked up another hammer, and put down the Brotherhood token and went somewhere else. And like, is that going to happen all the time? No, obviously not. But it is really cool, and it's cool that it can do that, and just from zero, from no gas in the tank. And I think it's funny. And I even activated the time gem. Can you believe it?
I kind of
Uh,
can actually, because he can definitely end up in situations where he has more power than he needs, right?
mhm.
Because like he has
yeah,
two
like the
things
guy
to spend
can't spend
power
more
on.
than 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the other pitch for him is that I really think like having a quote unquote Zemo reroll is really nice in the faction,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the biggest weaknesses for Brotherhood is Toad and Mystique dying. I would actually say maybe the biggest weakness is that Toad and Mystique are pretty easy to kill, and you kind of, well, you're pretty much always going to have Mystique, and you kind of are always going to have Toad
Yeah.
too. And uh Namor sitting around Mystique and making her slightly harder to kill, especially if she's in martial artists, then the reroll's a big deal. So I think that that's really nice. And then it's actually playing Namor has made me think about dropping Sam for Zemo also for
Mm-hmm.
the same reason, basically. I mean, more or less for the same reason. Um, but obviously having a 6 threat guy versus a 3 threat guy, they like end up in different lists, like at different threat
Yeah.
levels. So that's my pitch for Clocks McKenzie, the Time Namor guy. If you are a Brotherhood player and you are tired of winning every event and beating all of your locals and you're bored, and you need like a new way to win all of your games confirmed no matter what, I would add Time Namor. The End by Alex Botts.
Exciting.
How's your
Mm,
Namor adventure going, Vince?
my Namor adventure suffers from the fact that like it's impossible to test anything in MCP. Like the consistency of the like my Namor games have been like I have had no down the middle Namor game. Namor has
Mhm.
either rock started or done nothing or only rolled well when it's bad. Like
If it's we're like, you know, the meme where there's two people in the bus and they're like looking out in two different directions. The one is like sunshine and rainbows, and the other is like an avalanche or like horrible shit is going on. And like, you know, it's usually they're saying the same thing. Like the miserable guy is like nothing matters, and then the happy guy is like nothing matters. You're the miserable bus, and you're like the miserable bus rider, and you're like it's impossible to test whether Namor is good, and I'm the happy bus rider, and I'm like, it's impossible to test whether Namor is good.
yeah. In the same game, I had him do 6 damage to Thanos when I was just going for a stagger to accidentally give away priority. And in that same game, I had him fail to 2-tap a bullseye.
Mm-hmm.
That seems
Uh,
okay.
yeah, I don't know, like, uh, I like his design a lot. I think people that are saying, I know you were joking, but people that are saying that he's the new best 5 threat in the game. And I'm like, he's of the new 5 threats, he's the best one because he's the only one.
Oh, I was gonna raise my hand and politely ask what the other 5 threats were.
Yeah, there isn't one.
Yeah, okay.
He's like the lowest damage 5 threat, at least in a long time.
Do you think
I don't
that's
know.
true even when he's hitting stuff that has tough hide or whatever?
So like hard
Mm.
to give an example of,
Yeah.
but
It fucks
like
up Hood.
yes.
If
Yeah, oh,
Hood
yeah,
is giving you trouble,
I had it was a really good time. I charged, I did 3 damage to a 3 health hood. And the guy's like,
Yeah.
I take 1. And I'm like, no, you're dead.
Yeah.
And that's really I've noticed this about a lot of Marvel players, and unfortunately about myself, that a lot of gamers just want to actually you. They don't
Mhm,
actually want to
mhm,
Oh
win
yeah.
as much as they want to actually you.
Yeah, totally.
Namor is great at that. He's really good at actually your opponent. Opponent's like, I pay 1 to reduce with Bill. I'd be like, well, you do pay 1.
Wow, brutal.
um, I don't know. I had a game against Nate where he either failed or rolled a skull on every single flip he attempted. Uh, and I just
Rough.
like rolled over the game like so hard and fast.
Hmm.
And then I've had games where like,
Oh, Nate failed.
yes.
yeah,
Sorry,
Nate
I thought
failed
you were
every
talking about
roll
Namor
attempt.
failed everything. Yeah,
No,
okay, got
Nate
it.
failed every attempt like across the game.
Yeah,
Like it was impressively bad.
yeah.
And I just got to like because of and Spider Portals isn't his list anymore because of
Mhm.
this. But I
Hmm.
got to just like set up sick beams and
Yeah.
do all kinds of horrible things to him. Him turning off Dream and exceptional healing is incredible sometimes,
Yeah.
and
Mhm,
sometimes it doesn't matter at all.
mhm.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I do think his weaknesses, like people have already talked about these ad nauseum, but his weaknesses are pretty evident. Like he has no way to really move. Well, not no way to move people around. He really struggles to move opponents around, and he also the price of staggering someone is often that he's very vulnerable to everyone who's not staggered, which is tough.
yeah,
But
or he
yeah,
staggers himself. Like he goes over there, staggers them, and comes back.
yeah, right, which is a totally legitimately good play pattern sometimes, but sometimes it's just not enough,
It can
even though
be
he's the only
very
move.
pricey for 5 threat
Yeah, yeah, even
You
a 4
to
forgot
do
move.
like
his other major weakness that we have discovered.
What's that?
Iceman.
Oh yeah, I mean the guy hates slow.
Yeah, right.
The guy
Yeah.
hates
Mhm.
slow, shock, and stun. Him
And
being in
stagger.
shield. Oh, and stagger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
everyone
it's
hates
important for the
stagger.
Iceman because Iceman also has
Yeah.
the stagger in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Iceman
Mhm, mhm.
also gets the double tap him because of how charge works, where it's a move action followed by an attack action. So if you charge an Iceman,
Oh.
you get slowed at the end of the movement, then you take a
And
damage,
take one
and then you
damage
take
after
another
the
Nice.
damage.
attack.
Oh.
And then
Nefarious.
Iceman has the stagger spender. So
I haven't ran into that matchup yet, but that does seem rough. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I love Iceman.
The so if you're playing this guy in shield, battlefield medicine is absolutely essential. Like pulling the condition is so important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, I really like the design of Armies of the Deep. I think Armies of the
It's
Deep is
so
like the
cool.
coolest spender in the game. Like it's
Yeah, it's really fun to use.
so
Yeah.
it does so many different things and it's so flexible.
Mhm, mhm,
And I like
mhm.
that it makes you pick up front too. So there's like a kind of skill element to it. And it's not just like, oh, obviously you would do this or that, right? But like, oh, my
Yeah.
opponent's on 2 health and I want their extract. Do I take the one that guarantees drops it? Or do I do the one that lets me pick it up and leave with it if I kill him with this attack? And I think just making you make that decision up front is cool and interesting.
I think that's actually the part of it that I don't like, but I think that
Destruction.
It's because you're playing him.
I mean, yeah, I think the like when you're in that exact situation where it's like I should kill them and then like I kill them 75% of the time and then in that case Wave of Turtles is correct, but do
Mhm.
I just plan for the failure state or plan for the best case scenario? But I think just like the toolboxiness of it, especially because I play him primarily on pay to flips,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like being able to like charge, not quite get to the pay to flip, use the trident to surf off someone, get onto the pay to flip, and then like wave of turtle somebody else,
Yeah.
and get the free flip is just like it's incredible. It feels really good. Like every
He's
time you get
very
to
good
wave
on
of
pay to
turtles
flips.
on a
Yep.
pay to flip, where
Mm.
it Kirkovianly feels like Armies of the Deep costs 2,
Yeah.
it feels incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and it's nice for me to have a pay to flip fix guy too, because I don't really
Mhm.
Mystique kind of. I mean, it's not really like. I mean, she does struggle with them just because she doesn't do anything to them. So
I'm
Yeah, doesn't have anything
surprised
special.
you're having such a good time. Have you tried him without the gem, or
no,
is 16 like specifically a big point
no, I think the time
issue
gem
for
actually
you?
is the big. Well, the power. I mean, like the fact that it's time gem is whatever. I do use the time gem interaction, but specifically the fact that he gets 3 power. I actually think that makes a huge difference because I'm playing so much about turn 1, and it makes his turn 1 so much better with Mystique. Um,
Uh, yeah,
I don't really think.
I guess because you have the free pickup, so he can like walk,
Yeah, the
go pick
refund
up a
pickup. Like he
space.
can walk, pick up, and then charge on turn 1 when he has power gem. Um, so it's really good. I mean, I think that's extremely good. And it means that he's like extremely good at hitting somebody who's been decepted, also, which isn't always a thing. But like he can either walk, pick something up, and then charge the guy who's been deceptioned without being too out of position, or start his activation, charge the person who's deceptioned because he's long move. So if they get decepted, he's pretty likely to be able to do that. And then use the trident pull thing, and then have another move to either try to kill the guy if you spiked, or just move and go pick up something and still have tons of power and shit like that. So I think there's like
Oh, does Wave of Turtles net you a power? Like
uh
Mystique Leadership?
my understanding is that it does unless you have already picked something up that turn, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I guess
That wouldn't break my
what does
that
Mystique
wouldn't break my
Leadership
heart if
say?
I was wrong, but my reading of it is that yes.
I guess I don't know what
Hmm.
it
Yeah, I
says.
agree with
because
your
it doesn't say
Yeah,
if you
once per
pay the
turn when
power
you
to do it.
yeah,
So it's just
just
you pick it up, and if it's the first time you pick it up, you get a power. So
just cute as
you can,
hell. So, oh man, it's like
Wait,
yeah,
Kirkovian 1 influence. It's like
hold
a 1
on.
cost spender.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is
So
what I'm saying. Nobody listens to me because I don't play the game, but but also when I do play the game, sometimes I have an okay idea,
so
and also
what you're
everyone listens to me.
saying
That was a lie.
is we need to put Cat and the Spider on a Mystique list.
Ooh,
Oh.
right.
Does that change
How
anything?
about so that's 6 threat total, right?
Yeah.
Because it has to be
Two
Miles and
threes.
Black Cat, right? Yeah.
No, it's any Peter Parker. So you take
Well,
spectacular
so
because it's a
6
cheap and
threat
good one,
minimum.
but
Or yeah.
Yeah, you could pay 8 for it.
if you wanted to.
Thank you. I mean, I can fit that. That's like
Trying to think if
doable.
it meaningfully
I don't think
changes
it-
anything.
I don't think that it does. I mean, Black Cat can then stagger next turn.
Yeah. It probably doesn't. But I didn't realize that interaction until just now.
Yeah, me neither.
Trying to think what other things
Um,
give you free interacts, but I think it's just those.
Okay, so you're saying you're still not really activating the time gem? You're just like just the
Well,
extra
no.
power.
What I am saying is that it. I do activate it, and I probably like it. My first game with him, I had a couple options to activate it that I should have, and I didn't, just because I wasn't really thinking about it. And the second game, I did do it, and it was fine. I wasn't saying that it's has no meaning. I was just saying that like the main reason that I'm taking the gem is for the extra power. And if it was like if he could take another gem or it had a different effect, it would probably be better. But yeah. Why do you ask? The other thing for why you asked me the 5 threat, I actually don't think I think this is kind of goofy. So obviously, like if I was playing this as super competitive, like if I was in a tournament where Namor was in my list, which I think could happen. I think optimally, if I had both 5 threat Namor and 6 threat Namor in my list, I would play 6 threat Namor occasionally and 5 threat Namor none at all. I think the 5 is harder to fit into the list. And also is worse. So I think that 6 is kind of the sweet spot because the 5 threat would be competing right now with Ultron for the same spot, Ultron 2. And like at 15 points, I don't really see how I could justify Namor over Namor without a time gem over Ultron 2.
I mean, on Sword, I think I would play Namor over Ultron, but
Sure. I mean, I guess maybe if I get put. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. Wait, Sword is 15? Why do I think
Yeah.
Sword? Yeah, right. Sword is 15. Yeah. I guess it's just I
Yeah.
never get.
I mean, on Researcher, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And on any other generic crisis,
And on
which,
Gamma, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
on
But
Gamma.
yeah, maybe you're right that 5 threat Namor I would play over Ultron on Sword. I guess I agree with that. But and then the other one where there's a 5 threat that comes in maybe but Ultron comes in is 18. Which maybe I would play that. But I don't know. I just think the 6th threat makes more sense to me. So
No, I believe it. Doesn't totally shock me.
Yeah, because in my experience playing him, so like I haven't tried him at 6 threat, but like he's very awkward to fit in shield at 6 threat
mm-hmm.
just because of what we end up playing. We end up like playing a whole character down or a
Yeah.
whole character less than we would normally.
Yeah. I
Um,
also think that like the free interact really does make a big difference because like then his time gem Namor has functionally 4 power turn 1, which is a lot, right? Like
Yeah, as long
pick
as
up
he
and
can attack, yeah.
charge is a big difference than your Namor that would have to walk charge, maybe makes empowered to do something, right? But you're just like it's so much more limited than what the Mystique leadership lets him do.
Yeah, I kind of think if it's good at all, it probably is only good in Brotherhood. Like it's such a specific set of interactions for like how good it ends up being on turn 1 and turn 2. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's also the deception thing, which you
Yeah.
don't have,
Mhm.
right? So like yeah.
I don't know. Deception only happens to bad players, so I kind of discounted that.
Well, you know what I love to do to bad players.
I
Beat
do.
them with stupid shit. So
So just like my play pattern with him has often been on turn 1, he either picks up a thing and backs up,
mhm,
and then has charge online for turn 2,
yeah.
or has kind of like goes and stands on a point early and plays sit rep, and then has
Mhm,
charge online for the next turn.
Yep.
yeah.
So I just like I haven't found that, and like again, like I don't have the deception vector.
Yeah.
That like he would have a super meaningful charge on turn 1
Mhm,
where or if he does, it's like I can just walk attack and like one attack is fine.
yeah.
Like I don't think paying a whole threat for one more attack. And then like once he gets that like first attack, he's off to the races. Like you have to be careful not to leave him naked.
Yeah.
but as long as he's got the little speedo on of 1 power, he's totally fine.
But see, that's what I'm saying is that like my guy can always spend down and also has a quote unquote free pickup, and
Have you
also
played
his spender generates power. Anyway, continue.
have you played any of, Princess Protection?
Yeah, I think I took it in both games, and one game I didn't play it, like I didn't use it.
It's
I think it's
sometimes
pretty
it's
good.
discounted charge.
Yeah, totally, totally. I've been kind of intentionally holding it to protect Mystique, basically, and like so one game it just didn't come up, and probably I could have actually played it some other time, but I've just been like holding it to be like, please do not kill Mystique right now.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that card's really good as far
Mhm.
as like bodyguard style cards go. Like it's not as good as Heroes for Hire, which is fine. We don't
Yeah.
need another card as good as Heroes for Hire.
Yeah.
But it's up there as far as really good defensive cards because like obviously the big push effect is cool, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Shoving
and
people away is really good, but also just like letting Namor activate up in there and not having to pay for charge can really open up new options for him.
Yeah.
Which I think is using that part of it intelligently, or just like moving him up so he can hit a dude so he can try it and search so that he can charge someone even deeper in is really interesting. And just like more movement on that dude is always cool.
Yeah.
I've also, so the thing that makes it worse than Heroes for Hire is that it's a taunt style effect rather than a bodyguard style effect,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that Namor has to pay for it, which is
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
kinda whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better than Heroes for Hire because
Mhm.
placing off the opponent can mean that, like, your push angles are way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, definitely.
downside
You
is
get
you can never completely deny them just if they have a range 3 attack, you can never completely deny them attacking Namor again.
you can also
Like, if you
use it to chain into deception, which is kind of funny. I almost managed to pull that off one of the games. So
That's pretty
that's
cool.
cool.
yeah.
I've used it to, I had a game where they were just, like, gonna kill the grunts that had a book, and I Princess Protectioned and then took the 1 attack and then pushed everybody into a beam
Yeah, that's sick.
for the
Yeah.
Montesi
Yeah.
book,
Yep.
uh,
Mhm.
and so that was fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Neighbor's a cool guy. I don't know. The people that are, like, losing their mind saying he's, like, one of the best 5 threats, I think are crazy.
I mean,
I think he is, like, very middle of the road for a 5 threat.
I think people rapidly cooled on him as they should, but like I haven't seen much Chicken Little behavior about Namor in the past week or so. I think people have like I think he's a really cool design. I think he's good. I think he'll see play. I know Eric is excited about him in Portals because he does a unique thing there that he needed of having a 5 threat because like he was playing Amazing Spider-Man there because that's an affiliated 5 that can go like get the center and back up and just
Yeah.
like move rapidly around the board. But Namor just does what ASM did there better and is also affiliated defenders probably. So
yeah. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's
The
an
only thing
upgrade
I
for
will
that list, but it's not like breaking it. You know what I mean? Like it's an upgrade, but it's not crazy or anything.
the only thing I will Chicken Little, and I'm so absurdly confident this isn't true, but I've seen a bunch of people wishing and hoping that he's in Wakanda. He's not gonna be in Wakanda, and I will absolutely Chicken Little if he's in Wakanda because you guys not needing to play advanced R&D to do the Spirit of Wakanda bullshit
Yeah.
is not okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like,
But please
yeah,
call on me, teacher.
yes.
Yes, you in the back.
What? Why would Namor be? Is Namor African? He's
Uh,
already Scottish and a fish. Is he also
so like
African?
he's like allied at the end of the Wakanda Forever movie or something.
Oh,
The the Wakandans and the what are the goddamn fish people called? The
Atlanteans.
Atlanteans? Are they Atlanteans? Okay. I
Yeah.
keep getting it confused from actual Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
wait. Sorry.
Um,
There's Wakandan Atlanteans.
No.
Oh,
In the second Wakanda movie, it's
yes.
about a conflict between the Atlanteans and the Wakandans.
Oh.
But at the end of it, they become friends.
Oh,
And that's
And so
the
people are
really
like,
weak justification people are
I see, I
using.
see, I see, I
He's
see.
not
right.
going to be in Wakanda.
Okay,
He's
He
not
might
going
be
to
an
be. Just
X-Men.
mechanically, he can't be.
Yeah.
Like, it's not okay.
okay, got it. I see. I understand now.
Unless Spirit of Wakanda is getting banned. But, like, the card's brand new. So,
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Dude, Wakanda will not get a 2-power per turn character for a very long time.
I see. Okay, that makes sense to me. Cool.
Hmm.
Any other Namor thoughts? Otherwise, we will go to our next exciting
Yeah, that was a
segment.
short topic.
Yeah.
All
Our
right.
next exciting segment is what does Pat actually enjoy? Imagine that like appeared in like a kind of retro game show sign with like flashing lights around it, and there's like some nice presenters wheeling out Pat. We're like, what does Pat want? What does Pat like? What does Pat feel? Nate's here
See,
to decide.
I
Also,
like to think the text for that is like from Control, where it's this like super
yeah.
stark, just like slam in. What does Pat actually enjoy?
Hell
Yeah.
yes.
The answer, not very much, but we're gonna do our best.
So, at some point, do you remember? You told me I have to pick what you play, but I don't remember why.
Well, we were playing Valorant, as so many stories begin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I had either just come off of a GC League game, or
just about to go into one.
yeah, I don't remember
Yeah.
which one, but I was
Yeah.
not. So the list for context, the list I'm playing today is a thing that I woke up on a Saturday morning where I had agreed to go to an event, and was like, wow, what list can I add? What list do I actually own all the models to play? Because that is true of basically none of the lists I've played in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So a bit of scrambling, and we turned to Hellfire, playing, I guess, probably a pretty old style Hellfire list.
Mhm.
Like, your rhinos, lizards, black cats, pyros, with like a random Ultron 2 that I don't really know how to play or why he's there. Um,
Yeah. Seems like an okay
and
list to me.
yeah, it's like fine in a generic strong pieces way.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is why you're playing Hellfire.
I think so. I was thinking you guys threatened with doing this podcast topic, and I was thinking about it a little bit. So the thing that I think I'm not enjoying in both Spider Foes and Hellfire to some degree is this idea that I'm like forced to play this leader no matter what, that is like bad in some circumstances. And I know
Okay.
that's true to some degree of like every list, right? And I think the closest I have come to avoiding that was the brief period where I was playing Kingpin Modoc CS. And like they each sort of had relatively clear situations in which I played them. And I probably stopped playing it before I like really figured out what those were. To the level that like somebody trying to actually be good at the game would do. But like I don't know, there was a theory there of like when they were strong and when I should be playing one. Because I've played several games now where either at list selection I was like, man, I should have only played steals, and I didn't do that, and now I'm also down a leader that's like 4 points of just standing on a point and hoping. And the game has sort of like outpaced me, and by the game, really, it's just the spiders that I'm playing against. Like, and I've also sort of had it in the opposite direction where like they can go full on murder mode and I can't, right? I can like skew that way if it's an E with a Dynamo and an Ultron 2, but I'm always playing Emma. And, I think I prefer her to Doc Ock in a lot of ways.
Sure. I do too.
Part of it is probably having access to all of the models, but, her attacks are better.
Yeah, significantly.
She does stuff with power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just like daze her for free and then laugh about it. I mean, like she's probably easier to daze, but she can hit you back at least. So I don't know. I think that's how I got to saying that I also just like don't enjoy the list building part of the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the fact that bots got to time gen Namor as like a thing that he wanted to experiment with and play is like not a way that I feel like engaging with Marvel, right?
Did
It's
you
just
like
because you haven't found your Mystique leadership yet. Like,
I haven't found my Brotherhood token. You're correct.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Like the reason that I arrived at Time Gem Namor is because I fucking love using Mystique's leadership. Like when, every time I still have plenty of problems with Marvel, and there are games of Marvel where I'm like, this game fucking sucks ass. It's a bunch of stupid bullshit happening. These dice don't make any sense. I have no idea what the probability of any of this is, and like my girlfriend's cat could play this, and it would be no different for me being here. But also, even in those games, I'm like, "Woohoo! I have a little token, and this guy's scoring me a point, and you idiots don't have a token." So you just have to find something like that.
Did you enjoy list building when you played War Machine?
I have been thinking about that in hindsight. Vince is shaking his head.
Vince said no.
I don't understand how Vince thinks he knows that, and I would be curious for him to
I
explain it.
like, so I know you.
Uh-huh.
We did not know each other when you played War Machine, or
Indeed.
we knew each other very
Yeah.
tangentially if we did. Um, but I know you, and I don't think you enjoyed that. I think it was a thing you were told that you liked and you had to do, and I don't think you liked doing it.
So I think that if I was to try and identify a difference, right? Because
Mhm.
I don't remember disliking it in War Machine, right?
Sure.
But that there was a restriction to like what you could do, right? And the faction you were playing had some things it was good and bad at, but
Yeah,
you
it had a
like
more clear direction in what to build in.
yeah, like I was a
Mhm.
Khador and Trolls player, and like yeah, I wasn't supposed to play the Warjacks, but
Yeah.
like there's still a lot of space to sort of figure things out, and like there were just a fuck ton of leaders
Mhm.
also, right? Each with sort of their own thing that was like what they were going to do. Um, I don't
But
know. So
saying
I didn't
Was
love
it?
it, but it
I was
was
gonna
fine.
say, because saying you didn't dislike it is different
Yeah,
from saying that you liked it.
but it was a thing
Oh,
I would occasionally sit down and think about. Right? It
okay.
was like
Okay.
I'm stuck on this train. I don't want to read Twitter. I guess
Yeah.
I'll write a new fucking Irisk 2 list or something.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Oh, all right. I'm going to amend my previous statement because I have
okay.
thought about it a little bit more instead of just like my gut reaction. I think there is an aspect that existed in War Machine list building that doesn't exist in Guild Ball or Marvel list building that
Okay.
like specifically teases Pat's brain. Dear viewers, if you don't know, one of Pat's hobbies is competitively purchasing seltzer,
Hmm.
where he is monitoring the fluctuations of
True.
seltzer prices
That is true.
uh, in like all the way down to the third decimal point, and he is right trying to buy low, drink high, I guess.
Yo, that's the name of the episode.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you. We don't have to think about it now.
Make sure you write it
uh,
down.
Yeah, I wrote that.
and then uh, there's an aspect of War Machine where, like, you kind of know the stuff that you want in the list, and then how you kind of like get like you finagle those last points in. Like, do I play one man down in this unit? Uh do I play a solo here? Like, how do I finagle my last couple points in and out of the list?
Mhm.
Does two things. One, I think it kind of tickles the part of Pat's brain that like is looking to eke out value with very low numbers. And two, I think it also kind of makes the list feel like it's yours versus just like the correct way to do a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think on top of that, my hot take is that I think Marvel list building sucks ass
Let's
as
go.
someone who willingly does it and like kind of enjoys doing it compared to every other miniatures game I played. It's like Guild Ball. Like Guild Ball list building also sucked ass.
Sure.
You made like 1.5 decisions and that was it.
That was great.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but as far as like, because that experience you're talking about of being bored on a train and wanting to fiddle, right? Is something I definitely did in War Machine, and I missed it. And it's actually a big part of why I started playing Song of Ice and Fire
Hmm.
because it has list building pretty similar to War Machine and was scratching that same itch, which no game between War Machine and Song of Ice and Fire has scratched.
I think the two games were trying to just get that out of the way, saw it as a nuisance, and we're just like, no, like that's a thing between you and getting to the table, so we're just gonna get rid of it.
Mhm.
and I think there was like it is probably a net positive, but I think something was lost.
So I think my hot take is that I like so okay. War Machine was fixed points to lists, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I liked that part of it. It was
Yeah.
like
Yes.
it was I'm trying to come to I don't remember how many points, 50, 75, whatever.
Mhm.
Um like two lists that together fit well into the meta, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And I'm going to like look at my opponent's two lists and make like an informed decision about which of these two I'm going to play here. And you can like sort of always avoid the worst case scenario of each of those two lists.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll have the good one, but a lot of the times you're just sort of both playing the safe thing from your
Mhm.
two list pairing or whatever. Whereas Marvel, I don't like have that concrete thing to think about because I don't know what the
Yeah.
even like even if you and I sat down and played 10 games in a row,
Yeah.
right? It's different every time, which is like
Yeah.
good for some people. The people
Mhm.
who enjoy thinking about every possible combination of point value and opponent's 10 man and all that shit. It's just too much. And I
Well,
like
that's
don't
part of
care about the
why.
details.
Yeah, and that's part of why I think Marvel in particular, I don't enjoy the list building as much because it's really squishy, right? Like all the time, it's like my last couple slots is like, well, I think I would play this model like 20% of the time on these scenarios at these threat levels, maybe. But then
Mhm.
I might also play this other, like when I'm trying to decide between Magic Beast, Iceman, and what was the other three? Oh, Shadowcat, right? All
Sure.
four of those models basically do the same fucking thing, right? Like the situations I'd play them in are largely pretty similar. And which one I want to play, it doesn't feel satisfying choosing between those because I'm never going to feel super confident that I got it right. You know, like with a
Mhm.
when a War Machine list came together and you got it perfect, and you're like, "Yep, this is down to the last point. Everything in here is exactly what it should be." Right, and I have the total confidence that the things I have picked are the correct things for the situations it's going to be in.
Mhm.
Marvel has way more situations, which is probably a good thing, right? And way more differences game to game that I think makes list building just feel like I'm always just hedging, right? I'm just like, I think this is the thing I would play slightly more often or is slightly
Mhm.
more optimal in this matchup. But it
Yeah.
just generally feels like throwing darts at the board, and then in 15 games, I'll know if I was right or not.
Yeah. So I think a little bit of it also is that like that experience of like building your list is actually happening at the table. I think
Yeah.
the like building your War Machine list, I think, is like more similar to picking the 17 points for this scenario out of what
Yes.
you have
Yep.
brought than it is similar to building the 10-man roster. Um,
Yeah, but you have so many less choices. Like
Yeah.
I I mean, I can see how that's good in some ways, but it also feels immensely boring because I'm just like, all right, so I've spent 11 points every list on Rhino, Black Cat, and Emma, and then I don't know how do I get to however many points there are.
I mean,
well,
it
I think
doesn't have to be that way.
I know, but
yeah,
like,
you're thinking about the game in a sense of a core, and I think that's like a great way to like ruin some of the fun of the game for yourself.
yeah, I think.
Like, if you come play my X-Men list, the only model you'll play every time is Storm.
Whoa,
Hmm.
that Nate breaks that
That's
rule all the
interesting.
time.
Yeah, and I hate
I
myself every single time.
I think, huh? I think that might be exciting for you guys, but I actually think that maybe it would be helpful for Pat to have a core and just not have the core have Emma in it. Because,
I mean,
like,
Well,
oh, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. Well, so
Well,
one of the things that Pat you said recently to me about Valorant, is
oh boy.
that you what did you say? You said that you would pay. It was something you would give something. Maybe you would pay a bunch, or you would like sacrifice something to be confident in what you're doing in Valorant all the time. And
Okay,
so maybe I'm
that sounds
misreading
like
you.
something I would do.
Yeah, maybe I'm misreading something, but like I think you're very good at Valorant, and I also think you're very good at tabletop games. But I do think that you like constantly second guess yourself, and at least in Valorant, and I assume in Marvel, you constantly second guess yourself while you're playing. You're like, is this the right decision? Should I? Oh, that's what it was. You give up all of your knowledge of competitive Valorant in order
Oh
to
yeah,
just be confident in what you're doing
yeah. Uh huh.
playing in
100%.
Valorant, right? And so there's this implication that like all of your knowledge of like what the top level people do make you second guess your like basic instincts while you're shooting guys, right? And so did squad goals, and we were talking to
Mhm.
Curtis afterwards, and I was asking Curtis about like his Hellfire list because I wanted to fuck around with Hellfire a little bit, or maybe do a Hellfire splash in my Brotherhood and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
Curtis was like, "Do you want the short answer or the long answer to like why I have these 3 models in my list?" And I was like, "The long answer. Obviously, I only want to know arcane knowledge. I have no interest in anything general." And then Curtis spent like 20 minutes like describing what was clearly an Excel spreadsheet he had either literally or in his mind created about all the matchup decisions that go into Hellfire list building, right?
Mhm.
And um, I think that was very interesting, but also I don't think I want the game to work that way for me. And I'm not saying like I mean Curtis is like one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, right? So obviously his shit that he's doing to figure out how he puts a list together, even if it ends up being Emma, Rhino, Black Cat, and Zemo 90% of the time, is like clearly a good heuristic. But I don't think you even want to have to make a bunch of decisions like that because you will always wonder whether you made the wrong one. And so you'll always be sitting in the game being like if you played this X-Men list where Storm was the only guaranteed model, then every X-Men game you play, you're going to be sitting there being like, "Damn, dude, is 70% of my list just fucking wrong?" Um and I
Mhm.
don't think you will ever get out of that because there's so much noise, in the same way that
Yeah.
Vince said that it's impossible to tell if Namor is good or not. Um, and so I think you should have a really good, solid core, and then you should just be told, here are your 5 flex models, and fucking figure out which ones you like playing those, because that is how you will limit the amount of, or limit the amount of unconfidence. That's such an inelegant way
Yeah.
to say that.
No.
It,
Mhm.
it maximize the amount of confidence you have given the number of games you play, because you're not going to play 40 games of Marvel a week. You're just not.
Yeah.
And
I'm
so
not going to play 40 games of Marvel in half
ever.
a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not going to play 40 games of Marvel. End of sentence. So, um, so
Count them
Yeah.
down.
I, well, so it's interesting. I guess there's a couple things here. I think that's a good point, and I think that is largely how I have played some of the things that I've played a lot of. Like
Mhm.
mhm,
when I was playing a lot of Kingpin, it was like, this is Rhino and this Black Cat, and I have this bad leader. And then when I was playing Wakanda, which I did for a little while, it was like a lot of Black Panther, Shuri, and Okoye still,
Yep.
even when it probably shouldn't have been sometimes.
mhm,
And it was like, well, I was learning when to flex into, Panther, Killmonger, Okoye, or something like that.
Mhm.
And then, the brave point of like, well, do I learn how to play another 3 threat other than Shuri? And the answer was no. I'll just stop. Uh, which I should probably go back and do. But
If you go back, you have to play M'Baku. I'm sorry. That's the rules.
oh, I like M'Baku. Sorry, no, he's great.
Okay, great.
I guess I should have been thinking of that as like 4 threat leader.
Sure. Yeah.
XX. Yeah.
yeah,
I think if I could go into the hyperbaric time chamber and play 1,000 games of MCP a week, I'd have a great time with the game.
yeah,
In like an abstract sense, I think I'd still be
Yeah.
miserable in most of them concretely. But like
yeah,
Jacob did that thing back in the fucking money draft thing in the year
Mhm.
1942, where he came to the conclusion that Doc Ock was like the best sort of stats above replacement level model in the game,
Mhm.
sort of thing. And I think that's I think that's on some level what people are trying to do when they build a 10-man roster in Marvel.
yeah,
In terms of like the thing you were describing at Curtis saying why his last 3 models are whatever they are. It's like he's played enough games and thought about how likely he is and how worried he is about each of those matchups
Mhm.
and how each of those models impact it.
yeah,
Um, to come to the conclusion that those are the right 3, where, like what is the difference between those specific 3 and 2 of those 3 plus one other random one, right? Like it's
yeah.
probably not that big,
Mhm.
Probably
but
not.
it probably does matter at a measurable amount in some circumstance. I just don't want to
Definitely.
play the game enough to figure that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Um,
that's what I like about Brotherhood. I'm not saying you should play Brotherhood because I don't know if you'd like this particular set, but like when
sure.
I'm playing Brotherhood, because I have a core model, a core set of models, and I have versions of the list for pretty much every threat level that I'm comfortable with like very small exceptions, right? I feel every time I play a game of Brotherhood, I feel like I could have won that game with the set of models that I played. Like,
Okay.
I never feel with Brotherhood, given my relatively basic set of list building heuristics, compared to Curtis anyway, compared to like really extreme, probably compared to like Vince's Shield too. Like I'm sure Vince's Shield is and Nate's X-Men are way more complicated for how they get to the list that they get to for a given
Mhm.
matchup than what I'm doing with Brotherhood. But I never feel like I'm out at turn zero. Like I get to a basic point and I'm like, I don't know, maybe my 10 has optimizations that they could still, yeah, I know my 10 has optimizations that it could still suffer, but but like every list that I put down could have won the game in front of it. And so that's why I like it. So that's what I'm trying to imagine for you, whether it's Brotherhood specifically or something else. But
Yeah, that is the exact opposite of my experience with this game. But some of that is probably, my desire to think the game is over.
All right.
That's such a funny way to describe that. My desire to think the game is over. I don't know how to beat that out of you. Sorry, man.
That's fine. You don't have to. I didn't bring this podcast topic.
Okay. So when we first pitched this podcast topic, we had all decided we were going to pick a faction to pitch to Pat. And now having heard Pat's requirements or
Mhm.
what he wants out of a faction, I found the perfect faction for you, Pat.
Okay, I'm excited.
Are you ready to be pitched? You should just play Eric's Defenders list. You should just play the Portals Defenders list.
I've thought about that.
So here's the thing: is one, you get to be your own special snowflake where no one can tell you what you're doing is wrong because there's only one other guy that really understands what's going on.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's,
a good point.
it's unbelievably
Two,
true.
the problem of finding a leader that you like is not a problem because the fucking tactics card is your leader. Wong and Portals, that's your leader. And just like learning how to play that correctly is the faction. Three, the
Okay.
game's not going to seem immediately over because you get to stand in your fucking bunker and touch them and they can't touch you.
It might seem over as soon as you place the portal, though.
I guess it's awesome.
Like you could misplace that and be like, "Damn."
Well, I mean, so I think there's a thing about that list that, like, because I've watched, I don't know, not that many games of Eric playing it, but that, like, I don't have a good sense of even the broad strokes of plan of, like, how it plays from behind on extracts, Like, there and that's, sort of a problem I have with a lot of lists I play of, like, I understand how this thing is supposed to work on average or, like, in the
Yeah,
medium
when
case
things
where
are
it's,
going
like, a
well,
close
yeah.
game or you're ahead.
Mhm.
But I don't know what the thing does on turn 0 when it's, like, they don't have priority and they lost. They don't have priority and therefore the scenario is fucked, right?
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I guess I gotta move to Sacramento. Is he still
I don't
playing
think
that?
that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
very much so. In that he's playing. I mean, it's Magic pre-release season, so he's
Hmm.
out there trying to make money.
Not trying to, succeeding. He's made a lot of
Okay.
money.
Hell
He's
yeah.
he's gonna give me shit about that if I don't
Well, in
correct
case
that.
the IRS is listening, he's trying.
Is Magic the Gathering speculation illegal?
No, and it's not
if he's not
speculation. It's
reporting
just
on his
him.
taxes, it's not.
Oh,
He's winning events or doing well enough at events to land in the money and raking in the money.
He's that kind of gamer. Okay,
He's
got it.
very good at Magic.
Cool.
Anyway, so I think it playing from behind. So I don't think the list is a list that like goes down an extract and the game's over. I think it has lots of tools to go because like every model except for Wong, or if you're playing Daredevil and Daredevil, has like a kind of pseudo charge ability. So its ability to go run down extracts is pretty good. Its ability to rotate because of the portal is really good. Assuming you placed it well. And I don't know. I think it has game into a lot of stuff, and I think Namor helps it a ton. Like I think the toolbox that
Yo.
Namor grants is a big deal, and you get to have all the excitement of discovering that. Plus, you're getting Shang-Chi, who's also seems very, very good.
True.
called him cracked the other day, and they both like yelled at me for almost an hour after the game store closed about how I was wrong, and how I
Yeah, wasn't that great?
shouldn't be so flippant about it. I
I
was really
don't
bullied.
think that's how the
Um,
conversation went, but all right.
anyway, but I don't know. I think that's a list that you could have a lot of fun playing, and I think like I don't think you have to worry a ton about its matchups. I think doing your own thing is more important for that list than its specific matchups. Like putting the portal in the
Sure.
right spot is the list, right? And
That
like
sounds
jumping back and forth through
terrifying.
it. Huh? But I
Like,
mean,
I
it's
I
you make
respect
a
that you're, like,
decision.
correct, in the sense that, like, yeah, you really are doing your own thing, but also the idea of, like, finding the correct placement for that thing during deployment on all the batshit tables that this game
Well,
produces seems hard.
you figure it out at the you have all of turn 1 to figure it out too.
Yeah,
I guess. I do
because
okay, so you're selling me in the sense that I think it would be very funny to be the second best person at playing this list, where you're just like, "Man, if I ever actually qualify for LEO and have to play against Eric, I'm just fucked."
no, you don't
No, you're
understand.
not. It's oh my god, because the
The
portals
best
don't
way
differentiate for each other.
the best way to beat Eric's portals list is to play portals because it doesn't fucking matter if you're good at placing the portal because any one of the 4 portals goes to any of the other ones.
That doesn't
So you actually
sound
probably place
appealing.
your portals badly and then go use his good
Oh.
portals from
I think it
wherever the
would be
fuck you
cool if you were playing a list that you never had to think about the list building, and in fact, the way you received the list building is just like, once a month, some mysterious man you've never really spoken to is like, "Hey, man, this is our new 10th model," and you're just like,
Mhm.
"Okay," and you don't think about it at all. I think that would be really cool.
Well, so a thing that I've been doing to sort of circle back to the Hellfire thing, you know, when I decided that I was gonna play Hellfire and the models I had available, I was like, "Oh, let me go look at a handful of Hellfire lists." And I looked at what they've become, and I was a very confused lad. And I did it again today, still confused. Uh, so I don't know, like I
Well,
think,
you
yeah, those
just
lists are
can't.
like sometimes I don't know what to do with them, but
And
maybe
TTS isn't real, man. Like, I
okay.
mean, it is real
Well,
in that they have a bunch of very good players playing there, and like that's a really good way to get practice is just to play a fuck ton of games that people care about and they care about TTS. But like,
mhm,
you get these people are like these people who are very good players are changing their lists based on a metagame that you will never encounter unless you also play TTS every week. Like, I
right,
don't.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't. It's not worth chasing that. Like, I'm not saying these aren't lists to build on. I'm just saying that like the particularities of the weird shit that people do in top cuts or whatever
mhm,
is like meaningless. I don't know.
I do think it highlights an extra problem of Hellfire for Pat, in that I
hmm,
don't think Pat should be playing Hellfire. In that,
exciting.
like, if you're someone who's not going to stay super engaged with the game, Hellfire is like the faction that stands to change the most over a given year of new releases.
Sure.
True.
Like most other factions have to stick to what they're doing and maybe change 1 or 2 things, but like every new release could potentially change a Hellfire list drastically. And so, like, from that perspective of just wanting to focus on a set of models, Hellfire is kind of the worst choice for that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. Like, there's a part of my brain that thinks that is like factually obvious in the sense that like they're allowed to play everything, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does feel like at least and this is probably dictated by my recent experiences in the sense that like it still feels like what you're doing in most of the actual games you play is sort of dictated by the work you can get out of the four points you're paying for Emma.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not the universe of like rosters you're actually going to put on the table is still sort of dictated by the fact that you're going to pay 4 points for her every
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
Um, so you're not going to like I don't know play a list that just grabs the extracts and then just disappears. Like you are on some level, but you're not going to be able to like just alternate between sides of the table at will
Mm-hmm.
because she's still just a model that stands there and does stuff. I don't know. But yes, that's probably a reasonable assessment of
Yeah.
something that's
So
contributing to me not being happy with it.
I think we got to get you out of Hellfire. I like
Yes.
Defenders a lot. I don't know how much you own of that list.
I don't know what the list is. So I own a Crimson
Okay.
Dynamo and a Wong.
Oh,
All right.
okay. We're most of the way there.
Yeah.
I know you own a Bill. I know
I
it was
own a
playing
Bill.
Bill for a while.
Do you own a Hulk? You must own
do.
a Hulk. All
You
right.
must
Yeah.
have a Hulk, yeah.
It's painted.
Do you own a Luke
Yo.
Cage?
I do.
All right.
It's in my Hellfire list.
Okay. All right. We're getting there.
I don't own a Ghost Rider.
got
He's
any
left.
Oh, okay.
Namor kind of takes the spot.
Yo.
I own a Namor.
You do?
What?
No, I just thought it'd be fun.
I was like, well, ship that shit to me.
Fooled all of us. Yeah, I mean, you'll need a Namor and a Shang-Chi.
Are those the same box?
No.
Nope.
Sorry,
Okay.
buddy.
Exciting. Well, we'll see. Even so, I haven't bought it yet.
Yeah. Okay. So, my pitch, I've been taking
Mhm.
notes on the things you've complained about, and I want to
Okay.
go over this list real quick.
Please be shield. Please be shield. Please be shield.
It's not Shield.
I
So
own
the
a
thing-
Commandos I've never built. So
Here are the things that I think Pat wants in a list, and then you can tell me how correct my notes are.
as
You
soon
want-
as I know.
A leader that's good in every matchup, or at
Yep.
least not bad. You want a clear game plan from the outset of what you're supposed to be doing.
Ideally.
You want it to have a solid plan both when you're ahead and things are going well, and also when you're behind. Have a plan to make yourself not behind.
This sounds like a really good faction.
It does. It doesn't
want-
have the
It
plan
sounds
doesn't
like
have
it's
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
You want, on top of like the leader being good in every matchup, you'd also like a set core like Bots' Brotherhood, where you know these 11 to 12 points of models are going to be at least good, right? And so you can get to the squad building thing he said, where it's like, this was winnable with the squad I have. Even if it wasn't optimal, I can win this game with this squad if I use this core.
Sure. I don't know. That's the part I feel least strongly about so far.
Okay, that's fine. And then ideally, squad building would be pretty straightforward, right? Like picking which splash models you put in shouldn't be super complicated. It kind of ties into the core thing,
Hmm.
right?
So I want
Okay.
something that's easy to play
Yes,
and hard to make bad decisions with.
yes,
Yes.
I've
Sold.
done it. Great.
Okay.
You're gonna play Web Warriors.
I
Yeah, there you go.
thought this might be where this was going.
Just fucking play Web Warriors.
That's true, yeah.
They
You
do
wanna
all
know-
of these things.
So I have one game of Web Warriors experience.
Okay,
It was an unmitigated disaster.
that's fine. It
I
was like 6 years ago.
no, it was like 2 months ago.
Oh,
It
okay.
was in
well,
the
whatever.
prior Juicy League. I was
Okay.
like, well, I don't want to play the X Force. Well, I don't want to make my opponent play the X Force mirror.
Mm,
I'm a
mhm.
lover of the X Force mirror. But I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just, learn something about Web Warriors.
Yeah.
And got utterly clowned on.
That's fine.
But
This
yeah,
is-
it's fine.
The first 5 games will be whatever, and then you'll figure it out.
Okay. So I assume the pitch is that Miles is always fine.
Yes.
He shifts what he does depending on the choices I make within the game.
Yes. And also he's cheap, and being a 3-threat leader
yep.
is great.
It is. Let me see what else of this I know.
arguably the best.
Well,
threat
so
to
actually,
be.
you like this podcast has a perhaps more radical list building heuristic than for Web Warriors than some people, which is just
Okay.
that you play as many 3 threats as fit in the number that you have, and then if the number is not divisible by 3, you
Mhm.
either add Wong or one of their 4s,
Yep.
and then your list is complete.
Yep.
So
I think I'm
so
on
at-
Toad, but yeah.
yeah, Wong or Toad, I guess. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's Wong personally, but I'm totally down for Toad too. I think Toad is excellent, obviously. So
Which one do you
but-
own, Pat?
Both.
Oh,
Crushing it.
Well, there you
Yep.
go. So yeah, so you are playing an amount of 3s. So if you're playing 15 or 18, you are only playing 3 threats.
Yep.
Because those are divisible by 3, right? And then if it's one of the other numbers, you have to figure out whether you're adding a 2 or a 4. But that's your
Mhm.
job. So
That's my job. Yeah, I can appreciate that.
And also, you're pretty much always trying to go as wide as possible, right? So,
Yes.
like, yeah,
Hmm.
And I
I
think
agree that
there's
would probably be fun.
Like their approach to the game is very, you know what you're supposed to do in the matchup, right? You don't have to have like the Hellfire problem of trying to like, do I shift to go beat down or do I try to go scenario? You're gonna go scenario every time. You play Miles, Black Cat, Gwen,
Ooh.
Spectacular, whatever the fuck, probably a Zemo, right? But like those
Yeah.
4 models, Miles, Black Cat, Spectacular, and Gwen, do not have bad matchups. They're never the wrong choice.
does
Which who?
Black Cat.
Yeah,
What-
you don't play her
oh,
on
on
researcher,
researcher.
right? But
God damn it.
yeah,
Ha!
but
Got
other than that-
him.
Yeah, you got me. You got me. Very important clarification for our audience.
I actually might play her on researcher if I thought there were going to be big models going up. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't
You
seem
know
crazy.
how to get
I
the
do-
extracts back. You have the most steals of any faction in the game, homie.
Yeah, I guess.
What,
I mean, you actively don't play some of them. You have so many.
if Web Warriors can't
Yeah.
play from behind on extracts, I don't know who could.
No, I agree. If anyone can, it's them.
Okay.
So I think the thing you were saying that I don't have to decide when to swing between extracts and attrition.
Yeah.
And that feels incredibly counter to the thing that I think makes Web Warriors strong, which is that like they can just flip a switch and kick your ass.
Sorry,
for a
you
turn.
don't
but
have
it's
to
not a-
decide in squad building.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do during the yes, and I was all webbed up as a fucked up
Yeah.
card.
No, I
Well,
was
and
gonna
like
I was gonna say you actually don't have to decide. Also,
yes.
you just do it when all webbed up hits a bunch of people that you can then hit. That's not a decision. You just do it like
Your
it's
scenario pieces turn into a murder piece.
right.
yeah, it's a decision in the same way that like in Valorant when there's an opponent on your screen, you should probably shoot them. Like that's a decision, I guess, because you could decide not to shoot them. But
Okay. Well, I think it's more like, when you're standing in a corner, they don't check it, and you're deciding how many to let walk past you before trying to shoot them.
no,
But
it's not
yeah.
that complicated. It's you with all webbed up, you just hit as many people as you can, as hard as you can. It's not a decision.
So let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
In what way would you describe Baron Zemo as a scenario model?
It's fast as fuck.
Yeah.
He's fast and he can go kill extract runners.
He's very good at getting extracts off of types of model like Toad. He's very good at hunting down Toad. What?
Can't be true. Like
I know,
on
Charge
some
Defender
level, it
Toad.
is. Like he's better at it than a model that doesn't have a long move and a charge.
Well,
No,
and
no,
also
no,
a
it's-
spender that moves a medium. So you can chase Slippery if you have the power to do so.
And also, he can spend power to make a single attack extremely strong. If you daze
Yes.
Toad, he doesn't get to Slippery. So
Right.
Like he
No,
can
that
just
part
one-shot
makes
Toad.
Yeah.
sense, I guess. I
Yeah,
haven't
'cause
looked at
to-
the odds of like a Master Swordsman builder into a Toad, but
It's pretty good.
yeah. But
I mean, it's like,
easily.
yeah, I'm sure it's not guaranteed to do 5 damage, but most things are not. And
Yeah.
he, as a charge
Okay.
after it.
I was
and-
just
yeah.
wanted to make sure there wasn't a thing I was missing about
No.
the plan there.
He's not
'Cause-
guaranteed to kill Toad, but he's very good at that. And just like Toad is the hardest one for him to chase down, but a lot of those models that are trying to run with extracts, except for Black Cat, he's very good into.
Okay.
He's also, I like him a lot in Web Warriors. It's goofy. He's probably the best model in that faction at using the new Masked Menace cameras card.
Mm.
Because it becomes incredibly easy for him to chain Master Swordsman into Master Swordsman or mix some spenders in there. He just he's such an efficient model with a little bit of power that giving him just a little bit more power turns him kind of crazy.
Okay.
And then just like the reroll bubble is really nice for everyone, right? I mean, it's just a busted ass model, so
Exciting. Well, I will have to build a Baron Zemo, but I own one.
I would say you own most of the Web Warriors, right?
Yeah, I'd probably have to buy the Agent Venom Spider Woman box, but
Also,
Okay.
I think pretty
Okay.
much no matter what team you're playing, you should probably build your Baron Zemo.
I'll just keep
Like, I'm
borrowing.
surprised.
It's
I'm
fine.
surprised building your Baron Zemo wasn't a requirement for playing Hellfire, but whatever.
It probably should be, but I
Yeah.
didn't feel like it.
No, yeah. I think any of our like I just said, I'm considering putting Baron Zemo over Sam in Brotherhood. So if I was gonna, I have no pitch for you, to be clear, other than my armchair psychology about you playing games in general. But if I was
Yeah.
going to pitch Brotherhood, I'd probably also suggest you build your Baron Zemo just in case. So
Okay. Well, the baby steps we can take.
yeah.
Oh.
So your options are play the Pentagrams of Falala list or play Web Warriors, or you could just play Brotherhood because I think they're great. So that's my pitch. They're really good.
Okay. They have a token.
They have a
I've been
token.
hearing. Yeah.
These other models don't have tokens.
I mean-
Although arguably Web Warriors now have a token as well. You don't put it on. It doesn't score you victory points, but it does give you
One
power or whatever.
might also argue that the portal is a token.
Oh, they're all tokens. Yo, play a faction that places a token. That's my list. That's my suggestion.
Okay. Hell yeah. I'm gonna go play Spider Foes and only play
Yeah.
Sinister Traps.
There you go.
Which
Spider
may
Foes
or
is
may
OP.
not create a token, as Vince and I have fallen down
Oh my God,
a
don't get me
horrible rules
started.
rabbit hole.
Wait, no. I want you.
Yeah.
I explain.
No,
this.
no,
I
You're
don't know
not
how to
supposed
do
play
this without.
Sinister
Okay,
Traps.
I got it.
trash
I got
talking
it.
rules
So one of the questions that we had, right, was with Sinister Traps, right? It does say one of your Spider Foes models plays this card, right? Pick a. Well, let me actually just read it because it does actually matter the specific words here. Okay. An allied character may play this card during the first power phase. Choose an objective token. The first time a character ends a movement within 2 of that objective token, roll 5 dice, blah, blah, blah. It takes damage, gets pushed,
Yeah.
blah, right?
So
So
this is funny. I see where this is going, but please continue.
our thought process was that, like, well, since they made the rules change that a character is considered the source of an effect from a card if it's not specified, right? Like the Juggernaut is the one throwing with "Do you know who I am?" Right? Since they made that change, if Mysterio plays this card and he rolls those dice, if a blank comes up, he should get a power, right?
Yeah, I follow that. Right.
Yeah. It has been ruled no, he doesn't, because to quote the rules for him, the effect is coming from the token.
The card doesn't place a token.
Yeah.
That's a thing we as humans do to market, but it's not a
Yeah.
thing that it does.
I see. So
And I asked, and they were like, "Nope, we got it right. Thread closed."
so if it doesn't place a token, do you have to declare which one you picked?
Yeah, because it says choose, and there's
Yeah,
no
it says
hidden
choose.
information.
Oh, there's no hidden. Is there a rule in the text that says that when you choose something, you have to declare what you chose?
I believe so. Yeah, I think there's something.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's not just that there's an effect?
I
that
think there's like
immediately
a
happens
catch-all
that
rule about
reveals
there
what you
being no
chose?
hidden information.
I just I want to just sit in
Wait.
a game and argue that scientific hubris doesn't do anything because every effect comes from the token. It doesn't say it comes from a token. Well, neither does this.
That's so weird though. So okay, if that is an instance where the fact that the character played it doesn't matter,
Yes.
like when does it matter?
So it's ruled as like well-laid plans.
Yeah.
So well-laid plans is like Doc Ock and Green Goblin each pay 3 power. Every opponent holding an extract, you roll 5 dice on crits and wilds. They take a damage,
Right.
and they drop their extract if they take damage. If Doc Ock is playing the card, if you roll a crit, Doc Ock gets a power.
Right.
Okay, so that's like worded so similarly to how this card works, but well-laid
exactly.
plans does work because it doesn't place a token.
Oh.
And Sinister Traps doesn't work because the damage comes from the token, but it also doesn't place a token.
I want the
Okay.
ruling to be that you don't have to reveal which one you chose, but you do have to.
You're in
answer
a different
question.
planet from me.
But
You're
you,
on a
but no,
different
but you do
planet.
have to answer the question though. So they just have to ask immediately afterwards, and if they don't ask, then you don't have to tell them.
But you have to write it down on a piece of paper.
No, what? No, why do you have to write it down on a piece of paper? It doesn't say that. Definitely doesn't say that. Okay. I think we should go to everyone's second favorite Pat themed segment after Is Pat Happy? Does Pat know shit about the back of the box? That's the title of the game show. Vince, do you want to
Yep. Are you going to
ask
explain
me
how
to
back of the
explain
box
the game
works?
show? That's usually how the start of the
Okay, sorry. Alexander Bartholomew Box, will you explain to our new listener believe his name is Eli, how the game works.
First of all, Eli, welcome to the show. Second of all, how this works is it's a game show where Pat is going to try to earn points. Pat has to earn 7 points. He's going to get 3 tries to get 7 points. How this is going to work is Vince is going to read the text from the back of a Marvel Crisis Protocol product box, but he has cleverly blanked out most of the identifying text. From context clues alone, Pat will be called upon to guess what box this is. He has to name both models in the box. Vince is going to start by reading out the first paragraph. If Pat gets the box immediately after that, he gets 3 points. Then Vince is going to read the second paragraph. If Pat gets it after that, he is going to get 2 points. And then after that, I'm going to read Valorant trivia questions. And if Pat gets it after a Valorant trivia question, he gets 1 point. 7 points to win. Vince, take it away. I will be right back.
All right.
I also have a new wrinkle. I've randomly
Oh.
selected one box
Ooh.
from the collection behind me
I
that
saw
is
you
sitting in
grab
front of
one.
me. So if you, if you choose that one, I'm gonna get it.
Wow, he's got a handicap. This is bullshit.
I also am pretty
That
sure
is-
we've already done this one. So also, it's always gonna be the same one because it's the one from the top of the pile.
Well, Pat, ready yourselves to answer the
Okay.
call of blank, true believers. The blank blank invites you to assemble blank from blank, the blank, with all new blank, ready to clash in battles of cataclysmic proportions.
There's like I don't know. There's an energy to this paragraph that I can't. That feels very like, what do they call the packs that I don't use? Cosmic clashes, fun zones,
Oh, the ultimate encounters.
ultimate encounters. Yes,
Yeah.
it sounds sort of like that.
Fun zones. Oh, you played the new Thanos Fun Zone?
I mean, the Cosmic Clash is actually like a pretty good, like that could have been their name kind of thing.
Yeah. What? Hire me. Big Mouse. I don't know what this is.
Love your
So
cute
let's-
nickname for Pagani as Big Mouse.
I have never met Will Pagani, but he does not strike me as Big Mouse.
You want to go to paragraph 2, Pat?
Yes, I do.
All right. Will you choose to lead from the front with the noble blank? Or will you unleash the terrifying power of blank and his army of blank? From the power of blank's binary star to blank's spectacular senses, the sky's the limit and the choice is yours. As powerful as each character is, they all come together to form something much stronger. It's up to you to lead them with bold tactics and cunning strategy to achieve ultimate victory. Ready your squads, roll your dice, and charge into a new era of blank.
Is this the Wrecking Crew one?
This isn't the Alex Van Value box.
Sorry.
I don't know what this is. It
You had
sounds...
a flash of revelation I saw on your face. Like
yeah,
something.
well, there was like a moment there where I was pondering what the fuck the back of this Namor box said. And Panther's the other model in that box.
Yeah.
Panthreer.
Yeah, Panthreer, that's correct.
But at the same time, this sounds like a core box, but I didn't look at the back of my core box to see what it says. I also don't know exactly what all of the models in the core box would come together to form. But so okay. Well, there was a line in there about whatever.
Oh,
He said binary, so it's Captain Marvel, obviously. And something else sounded like another model from the core box. So I'm gonna say it's the new core box. I don't fucking know.
Final answer, Pat?
Yeah, yes.
It is the new core box, Earth's Mightiest
Holy
core box.
shit.
Go.
Boom, boom, boom. You got it.
nice work.
If you took out the word binary, I was fucked.
Spectacular senses didn't help
Oh, that did help. Yeah, okay.
you?
Yep. That was
That
another
was
Typed
one.
a
in
pretty big
spectacular senses? Wow.
He did.
I also censored, like, dude, this paragraph is like the most obvious thing you've ever. Like, there's no word in the first paragraph that should be censored based on any of the other guidelines I've used,
Uh-huh.
but
Mhm.
I like blotted out a bunch of it
I didn't realize
to
you
like
had
actually make it difficult.
guidelines for this.
It was a
Serious?
style
It's like
guide.
Serious
generally
about
it's
back to
like
the box, Vince?
yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm a big deal. Anything worth doing is worth doing. How many points does he have, Alexander Bartholomew Box?
That was his first one, right? I don't know how long I've been gone.
Yes, that was the first question.
Then he has 3 points. Congratulations, Pat.
He has 2 points, but good try.
Wait, that was the second paragraph?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. In my defense, I wasn't here for a second. Sorry, listeners.
All right.
What are we paying you for?
God, I wish you paid me for this. I need my dollar, Vince, from last episode.
All right. All right. All right, here we go. Box 2. Players take destruction to the next level with the blank character pack.
Wrecking Crew. The blank character pack. This is a real paragraph we're working with here.
Well,
Yeah,
this is
Uh,
actually a
fair.
one paragraph box that I've cut in half.
Oh.
Which is a
In
good
half.
hint.
Really? I only need 7 points. So
Mhm.
let's keep going.
All right. This alternate version of a fan favorite character harkens to his incarnation in the smash hit blank comic book run. With an all new miniature, new team tactics cards, and new stat card abilities, the blank has eternal staying power on the tabletop.
Don't like this. Has eternal staying power. Oh, okay. I know people have talked about liking a run of comics that I've never heard of before playing this game that involve, well, some might say,
Name
immortal
every
staying
comic you've
power.
heard about before playing this game.
I used to hang out in a comic store, which is sort of
Okay.
makes my lack of knowledge more ironic because I don't think I ever touched a comic while I was hanging out in that store.
Like, just in there, like, gross. I
I mean,
don't want to touch the walls.
unironically, sort of. I think this is the Immortal Hulk box.
Is that your final answer, Pat?
Yes.
This is the Immortal Hulk box.
Holy
Hell
shit.
yeah. Some might call it the
gaming.
Eternal Hulk box.
I had secretly hoped we had gotten here and Pat and Alex was still giving you multiple choice answers like
Mhm.
we used to do. And Immortal Hulk was always an option there, and I would like him just to have listed Immortal Hulk twice.
Damn, that would have been really funny.
That would have been good.
I wouldn't have thought to do that. I would have just left it in normally. Anyway, continue.
All right.
Pat,
How
you
many
got,
points?
4 points. 4 points. I'm ready.
4 points.
Alex,
I'm
We're
ready,
halfway
boss.
you're
there.
crushing it. What a recovery from Alexander Bartholomew box.
Thank you.
All right. Blank is blank. A blank of extraordinary ability. The founder of Blank's Blank for Blank and leader of the Blank. Blank dreams of a brighter future where blank and blank can live together in peace and harmony.
Okay. I have to call my shot here, right?
Yeah, you do.
'Cause you
Win.
need
Yeah,
7,
that's
yeah.
correct.
I need to win because my life depends on it.
Mhm.
In the
Otherwise,
past,
they're going to kill you like there were only 30 people at a grand tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so glad we got there. And I'm earnestly very interested in what happens. So, in the past, I have learned that there are some factions of mutants that have opinions about mutanthood that are different than others. There's a new box that I think involves a man who is a friendlier mutant. So I'm gonna say this is. Are there 2 models in the box though?
I was so hungry and I'm trying to eat quietly to not be like other podcasts. And Pat, your logic about this is fucking killing me. I can't do it.
It's so fucking funny getting this win. It's like the Bird Box challenge, getting the window and how bots approaches the game.
Yep.
Seeing
Yeah.
how Pat approaches this game is incredible.
That's why we do it, for the love of the game. So I think this is the Professor X box, the more recent one. There's only one, but the more recent one.
Pat, do you want to take a guess as to who else comes in that box?
Oh fuck. Not really. I don't.
Okay.
There's another X-Men.
So Pat, is the Professor X Bach your final answer?
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on, Pat. The other guy is one of your
So you've got it right.
co-host's favorite characters.
Oh, Nightcrawler.
Damn it!
Wrong co-host. Don't you dare say Nick Fury.
Professor X.
It's one of my other co-host's favorite characters.
Yeah, the dude who said it.
No.
It's not
God.
Iceman.
It's not
Okay,
Pat,
if you
Iceman.
were
I
going to
was
phone
just-
a friend about a specific X-Men character, and he was the only one in the entire panel to play that knew who that character was.
The person
And
most
the person
excited
was
about
Alex
his
Fox.
reveal at
Yes.
Adepticon.
Sorry. How could I forget Shadow King?
How could you forget? How?
I didn't
We've
think
been
they'd put
friends
two.
for so long.
I didn't think they could possibly put, two such big, cool models in one box.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Pat was wondering why they would ever pit two bad
Yeah.
bitches against each other like that. And I don't know. The answer is I don't know. It's just pure value, that box. Anyway, yeah, it's the Professor X and Shadow King box. Do I
Excellent.
give him 3 points for that? I don't.
Yes.
Yes,
He
you absolutely
required
do.
a lot of coaching to get.
Well,
to the
we've
box.
never made him say the second person in the box. As long as he correctly
Oh,
identifies
so I
which
just
physical
fucking lied
box.
earlier when I outlined the rules. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Well, congratulations, Pat. You won. You got 7 points on the dot.
I didn't even have to go to the Valorant trivia.
We didn't even have to go to Valorant trivia,
Heck yeah, that's what we
Game's
live
getting
for.
easy.
which is good. Which is good because this was going to be a hard one because I couldn't think of anything good, so I made it incredibly difficult instead.
Oh, good.
I should also just start writing the Valiant trivia and just be like,
should.
who is Reyna?
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, he's just gonna Google Valorant trivia, and then it'll be like, what map did Hiko run away from his team on? And the answer is just all of them.
The fucked up thing is that once or twice I've tried to do that when I've had to make Valorant trivia for you, and this is true of all trivia, not just Valorant trivia. Don't worry, listeners, we will talk about Marvel. But the fact that Sporkle and quiz trivia games online are so popular make Googling trivia impossible. I Googled Valorant trivia and got none Valorant trivia. I just got a bunch of motherfuckers trying to ask me Valorant trivia, but in the form of just a quiz or something.
Yeah, to go
Or,
play their Sporkle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was. I couldn't just find.
Why don't you
fun
go
You're
play
trivia.
their
supposed to play the
Why don't you go
Sporkle.
play their Sporkle and then just
Gives you
this
the
one,
answers at the end.
Well, no, but it would always be formatted in a stupid way. It wouldn't be
right. It's like
here's
name
a crazy
15
trivia
things
thing.
or
Yeah, it would be
whatever. Yeah.
name all the Masters winners or something like that. And then
Mhm.
I can't just ask Pat to do that. I mean, I could, I guess. That would be really fucking hard. But
Yeah, those quiz websites usually aren't multiple choice for answer.
yeah, or it's
type
not
of things. Yeah.
in one of the trivia that I did before was who did the turret bug happen to? And
Right.
that would be that's never going to be on one of those quizzes. Anyway.
Okay.
Well, if we really wanted to go hard on the Valorant trivia, you could just give me a line from one of the characters and I could do my best to impersonate them.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm never doing that. Sorry, but
I'm notoriously
the one time that
terrible
we
at
asked
it.
you to do an Australian voice and it came out sounding Chinese, or maybe it was vice versa. I can't remember. Unfortunately, you have to come up with a whole new.
I'm pretty confident that if you asked me to do a Chinese accent, I would just do an Australian accent.
Yeah, I think you would too. And Vince, you're gonna have to invent another podcast to do that type of impression. And let me tell you, that one probably gonna be a lot more lucrative because there are a lot of motherfuckers who pay a lot for that type of podcast. Anyway,
Jesus Christ.
congratulations, Pat. You've won.
Thank you. I'm going to Disney World Land. I don't know which
Hell
one's the
yeah.
best for you, but-
Worldland's the best choice. Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
Land.
Star
Land,
Wars hotel.
Land is the good one. Disney World is the bad one.
Okay,
Land, the one in
we don't have time
California.
to unpack
Yes.
that. We have another topic to do.
We do.
Exciting.
We do have another topic to do. And we have about 50 minutes to do it. So, but
Let's
I
go.
think we can manage.
I think we can manage.
Okay.
So I was on Twitter and I
Uh-oh.
saw some
Where?
controversy about baseball through a Richard Nixon parody account. And there was a guy, a baseball player, a professional baseball player. And I don't know anything about baseball, so I'm not even going to bore you guys with his name. That was they got footage of him hyping his team up. And the way he was doing it was really, really high energy. It was wake the fuck up. Let's fucking go, motherfuckers. Stuff like that, right? It was really hardcore shit, yelling at his teammates in the bullpen. And some people were saying that was like not inappropriate, like he should be fired or something like that, but just that that's not the vibe for baseball. That like and
Mhm.
the parody Richard Nixon Twitter account, which often comments on baseball because Richard Nixon was like a big baseball head. He was like a big sports trivia guy in general. He was saying the Richard Nixon parody account was saying that that's like the type of thing that you do in football. Like if you're like a team leader, like the quarterback or
Mm.
whatever, a
Mhm.
team leader in football, you're like, we have to get rowdy, we have to get angry. You want the adrenaline to be going crazy. You want people to be like they're out there dying, whatever. Whereas baseball, the way you lead a team in baseball is different. You want a different mindset out of your players. You want them to be like sharp and focused, but not like crazy adrenaline pumping all the time, because that's not how you're going to get good results out of baseball. And that made
Mm.
me think about tabletop games, because I think in all sports and competitive events, you see people trying to get themselves into the mindset that they think they need to win. And I'm not talking about mindset, I'm talking about mind state, not mindset. Because we've talked about this on the podcast before about like mindset about like enjoying the game or not caring about results, just caring about playing well or whatever. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about like how your brain feels when you're playing. And like some people want to be really focused. Some people want to be really chill. Some people want to have a lot of pressure, no pressure. Some people want to be drunk. Like seriously, like I've
Mhm.
I've had tabletop game players tell me that they play their best whatever, Marvel, Guild Ball, whatever, drunk, or
Yeah.
like usually they talk about the Balmer Peak. They want like a little bit of a buzz. Um, we had a good friend in Guild Ball who always said that he played his best games slightly hungover because it like took the nervousness of the tournament out of him, right? So he didn't want to be like so hungover that he couldn't stand, obviously, but he wanted to be like a little bit dazed, right? Because then he wasn't thinking as much about pressure. And so I wanted to ask you guys, because I don't think I've ever asked you on air, and I may not have even ever directly asked you, what do you think is a good mind state for playing Marvel for you guys? Like when you were playing your best, try to think the best Marvel games that you guys have played, or maybe the best games that you played in a tournament. What was the vibe when that happened to you? And I can go first, or if somebody has their answer immediately, they
I
can go.
have mine.
Okay, go.
So okay. So there's the Marvel games that I play where I'm at my computer, I'm home, I got a snack, I got a drink, I am cozy, right?
Yeah,
Playing on TTS. That's the worst possible option.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
are
I feel you.
far and away the worst games of Marvel and the least fun I've had playing Marvel in my. There's no fun, but it is the least fun I've had playing Marvel,
Mhm.
right? I actually think this is the best games I have played are like the polar opposite of that, right? So for one, the best games I play are when I am on vacation somewhere,
Mm.
right? When there is nothing else going on
Yeah.
besides the Marvel event, right? I don't have to get home and do chores. I didn't have to do anything that morning. I rolled out of bed. My goal for today is to play Marvel and eat
Mhm.
food between games of Marvel and play Marvel, and that's it for the day. Great place to start. And I actually think beyond that, playing on stream. I like playing on stream a lot, and I play the best Marvel that I've played on stream because of a very specific set of circumstances where our Discord will always tune in when one of us is on stream and enjoy the match and hype it up. And I don't want to fuck up in front of the homies, right? Like when they're
Yeah.
watching, I am playing extra sharp. I don't take my foot off the gas when I shouldn't, right? I am very conscious about making sure I'm making correct decisions all the time because it doesn't feel like there's that pressure to do well, but it's enjoyable pressure for me at this point, right? Like it never feels negative. Um, Knowing that people are watching this, it only helps me up and keeps me sharp, keeps me clean, and keeps me on point. So for me, it's tournament games at a convention or somewhere I've traveled to on stream.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think a lot of that hits for me too. Maybe not the stream thing. I don't feel strongly that I do worse on stream or that I don't like the feeling of being on stream, but I don't know that it makes me play better either. Definitely the thing you're talking about people getting excited and rooting for you is very nice. Like I love that. That's a
Yeah.
great privilege of being a quote unquote content creator. But the I don't know that I necessarily play better on stream. I do think I totally agree with the stuff about traveling or certainly being like kind of isolated and focusing only on Marvel or tabletop games or whatever. Um, and I think there's like an amount of pressure that I want that you get from tournaments that I
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
And maybe even team tournaments is a little bit too far for me, just because I
Mm.
really don't want to
Mhm.
drop the ball for my friends. That maybe gets to me a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But I think singles tournaments I think are good. They're like where there's like a little bit of pride on the line and there's nothing else going on and I can just focus on playing the best. I definitely want like a medium amount of caffeine. Like I've had
Mhm. Yep.
too much caffeine on a game day. And I've also tried the hangover thing and I don't think it worked for me. I don't
Did not
know,
for me either.
or
Yeah.
maybe I wasn't the correct amount of hungover, but I don't know how to calibrate that exactly. I
God.
don't the only other thing I'll say is that there's been like a couple times, and this hasn't happened in a while, so maybe this is no longer true, or maybe I just haven't been in the circumstance. But I think some of the best tabletop games I've played have been against people that I didn't like very much, and usually for unrelated
Wow.
reasons. But I just really there was nothing
Well,
in my head other than like I really have to show this guy whatever else is going on in his life and my life, that I'm the better player here. And that was very motivational a few times. It's happened maybe like 3 or 4 times in my life. And I've played some really sick Guild Ball or Marble or War Machine in those specific circumstances. So I wish I
you
could
heard it
have a
here first,
lineup.
Incredible.
folks. When Alex says, "Dude, it was a really, really good game. Really close, really good game."
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah. That's
means
exactly
he
what I'm
means
really telling you is that
fuck
you're a piece
you,
of
I
shit.
hate you.
Yeah, exactly. No, of
For
course not. I mean
unrelated for unrelated reasons.
I've played, if you count all the tabletop games that I've played, like all individual games of a tabletop game I've played so many of those, and I really am thinking of like 3 or 4 times. So I promise you, if you hear this, it's not about you. Um,
Unless
but
it is.
Except one of you.
it's maybe one of you. But
You probably listen. What other podcasts are there?
yeah, but I think what that circumstance helps with is that I no longer have any interest in doing anything flashy or cool at all.
Yeah.
Like I
Yes.
have, it's the only interest to me 100% is winning. Like, and I have no, I would win if the correct strategy, if I identified the correct strategy and it was not move my models 40 times in a row and watch him clock out while I do nothing, I would do that. And I would
Yeah.
happily do that and I'd just sit there and like having the time of my life. So I think that's why that helps.
That
But
feeling of like not wanting to do any flashy or crazy or anything is
yeah.
part of the stream thing for me, right?
Yeah,
Where
I get
like
that totally.
I have that similar motivation of like I really just I want to win this game in particular, regardless of the rest of the event. This one matters, and so I get that exact same feeling, but for different reasons from the stream games.
Right. Yeah. Vince, Pat, any thoughts on how drunk we have to get you to win every tournament subsequently?
I have thoughts. I don't want Pat to go last though.
Okay. I have a absolute mess of thoughts
Hell yeah.
that probably don't make very much sense. So first off, one of the best games of Guild Ball I've ever played was when we showed up late to the first round of WTC.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, legendary.
Do you remember
Uh,
any of that game?
Yeah, I had to run away as brewers, I think, and then like had some very close measurements to like, can I get pushed off the table? And the answer was no. And I almost clocked out, but hey, we got there. What else? So I think the stream thing is an element that I don't have enough experience with to have a clear opinion on. I think on average it probably makes me play worse, especially how do I put this diplomatically? In the sense that you're sometimes forced to use tokens that aren't the ones you're used to.
Oh, sure.
Which
Who could force you? Yeah.
yeah. It's like, whatever. No
Yeah.
It throws
hate
you off
against
a little
anyone
bit,
who
though.
feels that
Yeah.
way. But like I am a routine person and like suddenly having to go back to using the official tokens in every sense. Like even literally in the game I played at Squad Goals, I spent some time looking around for the right fucking condition. And like it didn't matter at all. But
Yeah, you didn't end up clocking, right? But
no.
But it still throws you off your game just a little
yeah,
bit.
of
Yeah,
course,
and
of
we're
course,
looking
yeah.
for
Yeah,
optimal
and like
here, so
even that game
Yes, yeah,
was
absolutely.
less extreme because I got to use my stupid spin down dice things.
yeah.
But yeah, even like the difference between the core box, the first core box and the second core box condition tokens is like weird.
Mhm.
But I think, you know, with enough time, I might be able to get to a similar position to you guys of like finding the right amount of pressure from that helpful, I guess.
Mhm.
I think for me, I would probably describe the ideal game as closer to like a game night game that we're explicitly trying to practice. Where like you're not in that position where you're wondering if your opponent thinks you're trying to win or not, right? Or like
Mhm. Mhm.
if you standing there for 4 turns doing nothing is like bad manners or whatever.
Hmm.
But that like there is no pressure. The result doesn't matter. Other than to like learning how to play the game better, right? Um
God, this makes so much sense because this is what like I describe you, Pat, as a better player than you believe. Like
sure.
you, when I talk about Marvel, or well, not Marvel, tabletop games, I'm like, Pat, you can win this. You're amazing, and you're always like, no, I'm not. I suck. Didn't I just lose to random guy? And I'll be
Yes.
like, yeah, but that doesn't matter. I've seen you play. And what I'm realizing is that because like almost all of my memories of playing you are in that exact circumstance where I
Yes.
just want where there's no pressure or stakes at all, and I'm just demanding that Pat like
That is
own
where
my
I'm good at the
stupid
game.
list. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So,
And like
mhm,
the other thing that was like isn't really explicitly a part of the like the game in itself is like
mhm.
the fact that it's an iterated game on some level I like, and the
Oh,
fact that it's
sure.
like a person I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, and that was like a sort of unique position that we got to by the end of Guild Ball of like most of the people that we could plausibly lose to we had met or at least talked to online
Yeah.
and
Right.
was like they're not an enormous monster. And like
True.
that's not to say that the people I play in Guild Ball or in Marvel are like uncomfortable to play against or whatever. But I just literally don't know them for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And haven't been playing for as long, and I'm just objectively worse. So like I play against a larger selection of people. Um,
Yeah.
so like I don't know. I rarely went into a Guild Ball game that I cared about, going like I don't know how this game will go. Like those games were
Mm.
almost always entirely about the decisions I made in the game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is like yeah the thing you get from that game night game where you're like specifically trying to practice to me.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. Word, Vincent.
So I just have to know everyone.
There you go. Go out
Yeah.
there, shake some hands, kiss some babies. Get
Mhm.
out there on campaign trail, Pat. Um,
And yeah.
because we're looking for a new one. Vince, you're up.
Oh god. For me, essentially, like I don't know. I play my best when I'm present. I guess is the best way to do it. Like to think about it. I think, or maybe that's like a bad way to phrase it. Like I just want to be present in my game of Marvel Crisis Protocol. I don't have other tabs open when I play TTS.
Yeah.
I don't particularly enjoy playing Marvel seated.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Um,
Marvel seated?
While sitting down.
Sitting.
Yeah, okay, okay.
yeah,
S
well,
E A
sitting
T
down.
E D. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to be in it. I also think I just like for some reason. So like I've been bouncing around since Adepticon to other factions. Played some Cabal, played some Foes, played a little bit of Avengers, and I just am more comfortable playing Shield. And I don't think it's really because of like necessarily my familiarity with Shield, but I think it's because no specific attack ever matters that much
Hmm.
when compared to any other given attack. Like
Sure.
there are times where like in Foes, like if a 4 die attack with Mysterio does 1 damage, you like win the game. And you're never in any kind of situation like that with Shield. Like everything is redundancy after redundancy after redundancy.
Hmm.
And so like having lots of just being able to just be like, I don't care that I spiked 6 damage on 4 dice and he spiked 7 blocks on his 5 dice. Like that doesn't matter. I got a million bites of this apple. Right. We're just gonna move on and not tilt. I
Yeah,
think helps me a ton.
totally. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't. None of the three of us talked about like playstyle, but I did, or like sort of format of the faction you're playing. But I think that definitely matters too. And also maybe like comfort and reps in general. Like you're also comfortable with Shield because you've played them 1 billion times, I assume.
Yeah. But I think that's like, as I was playing a ton of Web Warriors, and I'm not sure Web Warriors have ever been worse than Shield or ever been like, I think Web Warriors have always kind of been a higher tier than Shield for the entirety of the meta. But like they never felt as good because every time your opponent is rolling dice, like shouldn't kill Miles, but any given attack can,
Yeah.
right? And that never feels good. Whereas with Shield, you're on the other end of that dice curve and it feels great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm not expecting anything out of these, but you're like they might just win me the game. Like let's go for it.
Yeah. You're the slot. You're pulling
You're
the slot
pulling, yeah.
machine. You're not the
Mhm.
the
Slot machine's not
casino.
being
What a
pulled out
terrible
of my
metaphor.
pocket.
I'm an idiot.
You're not sitting on the slot machine that
All right.
explodes if you win.
Well, no, I was like, it's the customer pulling the slot machine
Yeah.
versus the casino.
The
But then I was
casino.
like, wait, but that makes it sound like I'm portraying the casino as a bad, as like it would suck to be the casino. Obviously, that's not true. So I'm an idiot. But
Well, the casino
anyway,
probably feels bad when you win.
well, but isn't the whole point that they
In
don't?
the
Anyway,
yeah.
um, yeah. Word. How many coffees, Vince?
How many coffees? Never
It's
more
game
than
day.
one.
You're winning for you're playing for your life. More than one?
Never
Not
more than one.
Never more than one.
Yeah.
Pat, how many coffees?
I'm
'Cause you're
kind
a
of
coffee
new
guy
to
now,
the
you
coffee
haven't
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a newly fresh ground coffee guy.
Ooh.
Like probably more than is reasonable.
God, I love Pat answers. It's like, yeah, he answered my question. I have no information that I didn't have 30 seconds ago.
Like I don't know, 300 milligrams caffeine.
Oh my god, I hate you so much. How many
Like
fucking cups? How many ounces is that?
3 to 4.
3 to 4 ounces of coffee?
Cups.
Oh, of
No,
cups,
just
ground.
of
cups,
coffee.
cups.
Oh,
Of
cups,
like
cups. Oh,
8-ounce cups.
yeah. Okay.
So a fair amount
Pat,
of
That is a
coffee.
lot of coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
have you tried coffee tonic yet?
No.
Have you
Oh,
tried
you gotta
Black
get on
Blood
that.
of the Earth?
No.
It's like a compressed cold brew.
I tried to make some, I don't know, iced coffee recently. It's fucking
No.
terrible.
What?
I don't think I like cold coffee, even though it's the
Oh,
summer.
Oh,
okay.
But I
Yeah.
need
oh,
to
okay.
I
Oh,
need to try it more.
you should try it with lemonade.
That sounds crazy. But
No, it's really good.
all right.
It's like it's a
I am generally
know-
into acidic coffee. So
you know Collectivo, the coffee brand.
yeah.
You know how they, in addition to like selling coffee beans and having coffee shops, they also have like little canned things like Starbucks, right? Like they'll have like canned cold brew or whatever. Well, okay, they do, and I'm sure
Okay.
you've been in most
Sure,
grocery
that's
stores in
probably.
Chicago have them. But they used to have coffee lemonade, and they would sell them in the summer. And I think I was the only human being buying them because they discontinued them despite they continued to exist. Like Collectivo continued to
Yeah.
exist, but
Yeah.
they discontinued them, and they also used to serve it in their coffee shops, like a fresh one. They would put it together for
Sure.
you, and they discontinued that too. So clearly, I was holding up that market insufficiently. But I just do it for myself now. I'd like you do like 40% cold brew and then 60% lemonade, or you could reverse that ratio if you wanted to, if you needed more caffeine. But and over ice and stuff, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I'll have to try that. I've never heard of
Yeah.
that before.
It's
I'm
delicious.
interested.
It's delicious, and I like it
probably
also
not that
because I
different.
really don't like the taste of milk, so I usually don't want
Hmm.
any type of creamer
Okay.
or anything. So, but yeah,
It sounds not that different from a coffee tonic, which is like a big trend right now. Or
maybe it is. I thought a coffee tonic was something else. Tell me what a coffee tonic is.
it's just tonic water with an espresso shot poured over it. Like on
Oh,
ice.
okay. No, I have had that. Yeah, those are really good too. And you're right; they're
Yeah,
totally
and
not
it
different.
makes no sense that it would be good. It's like, oh, bitter tonic, bitter coffee, and for some reason it's not.
You say that, but I had a similar conversation several months ago on my Discord about gin and tonics. I actually think gin and tonics don't make sense either. I love gin and tonics, and I hate tonic water, and I don't really like drinking raw gin either. Raw gin, straight gin. But like when you put them together, it's great. The only part of a gin and tonic that I actually like on its own is lime.
Your body craves an
Huh.
immunity to malaria. I don't know. Must be
That's
the
true. I bet it does do that.
I don't think it gives you immunity to malaria.
I haven't had malaria, and I've been drinking gin and tonics for 10 years.
That's where gin and tonic comes from.
No,
Malaria.
buddy.
No, it does. Tonic
water?
was like, yeah, tonic water was like prescribed to the like the colonizers of India, and then they put gin in it.
Mm,
That's where gin and tonic comes
Oh,
from.
okay.
Isn't it just
interesting.
that one ingredient that is common in tonic water though?
It's the thing
Yeah.
with the thing that gives tonic its flavor is the
Oh.
quinine, which is
Yeah.
an anti-malaria thing.
So I had a question about coffee tonics, which Googling them to make sure you and I were talking about the same thing answered just now. Which is that every time I've had a coffee tonic, it's had the espresso floating on top, right?
Yes.
Like it's like the tonic water and then the espresso. And I've always looked at that, and my cocktail mixing brain has been like, no, you doofuses, you put the thing that is heavier, which is the tonic water, because it has like carbs and stuff, on top so that it mixes. You fall down. Like when you're making the coffee and lemonade, or at least when I'm making it, you put the coffee in the cup first, and then you put the lemonade because they mix because the sweet thing is heavier, right? But now I'm realizing that Instagram has determined that the coffee tonic looks like two separate levels, and that therefore they're doing it intentionally so they don't mix when they hand it to you. So,
I think it's
Huh.
also that it's like a black and tan, where like
oh, it's like a
the drink
black and tan.
evolves.
Yeah. Right. I don't want evolution. I want to just drink that shit right away.
All right.
Sorry, that was not a complaint. People should drink their et ceteras however they want, but I don't want a black and tan. I just want a brown. Um,
All right. Well, maybe they're not for you, buddy.
uh,
All right. Have we been a size 3 taco truck?
as
I
ever.
hope so.
All right. Play outro music.